I died choking on my own screams in a dingy motel room off the Jersey Turnpike. My ex-husband's hands around my throat, his face twisted into the mask of a man who'd finally won. The twins, my beautiful, broken boys, watched from the corner, too young to understand why Mommy wasn't fighting back anymore. Their tiny fists clenched around the teddy bears I'd sewn for them with my last good paycheck. But death isn't the end when you've got unfinished business. It was the cold slap of hospital sheets against my skin that yanked me back. Not to some pearly gate, but to the morning of the custody hearing I'd lost before it even started. That was 3 weeks ago, or a lifetime, depending on how you count the hours since I woke up gasping in my own bed, the alarm blaring like a siren's wail. My name is Gemma Hayes, 32 years old, single mom to 5-year-old twins who think Legos are the 8th wonder of the world. Or at least, that's who I was supposed to be this time around. Last life, I was the cautionary tale whispered in PDA meetings, the overworked lawyer who lost her kids to a charming bastard named Ethan Caldwell, the kind of guy who could sell ice to Eskimos and alibis to cops. I bolted upright, sheets tangled around my legs like restraints, my heart hammering against ribs that shouldn't have been whole. The digital clock glowed 6:15 a.m., July 15th, 2024, the day Ethan would file his motion to upend my world. But I remembered the verdict from 2025, Judge Harlan Voss, that silver-haired hawk with eyes like chipped flint, granting full custody to Ethan because I prioritized career over family. Of course, but by then, the stress had carved hollows under my eyes. And one rainy night, after a 12-hour shift at the firm, I'd swerved off the road into the Hudson. Autopsy said accident. I knew better. Ethan had tampered with the brakes, subtle, untraceable, a whisper of sabotage from the man who'd vowed to love me till death. Now, here I was, reborn not as some ethereal ghost, but flesh and blood. The divorce papers still warm on the nightstand from 6 months ago. The twins, Jasper and Milo, were snoring in their bunk beds down the hall, oblivious to the storm I'd rewrite today. I swung my legs over the edge, toes curling into the worn carpet of our cramped Brooklyn walk-up. The air smelled of yesterday's coffee and baby shampoo, innocent scents that twisted the knife deeper. How many nights had I replayed this morning? In my dying haze, I'd bargained with whatever god or glitch in the universe had hit rewind. Give me one more shot, and I'd burn it all down. First things first, evidence. Last time, Ethan played the devoted dad card, painting me as the absentee workaholic grinding away at Caldwell and Associates, his family's firm, where I'd slaved as a junior partner, building his legacy while he golfed with clients. He'd generously offered me weekends, but the real hook was the surveillance he'd planted, footage of me missing recitals, scarfing takeout at midnight. What he didn't know, what I'd uncovered too late, was the buried secret rotting at the core of our marriage. Ethan hadn't just cheated, he'd embezzled from the firm, funneling funds to offshore accounts for his mistress, a perky realtor named Brooke who thought Lululemon was armor against karma. I'd found the ledger in his sock drawer the night before our 10th anniversary, right after he confessed the affair over champagne that tasted like battery acid. "It's not you, Gem," he'd said, his hand on mine like a vice. "It's the pressure. The boys need stability." Stability my ass, he meant control. I'd confronted him, threatened to go public. And that's when the real betrayal hit. A setup. He drugged my wine, staged a domestic incident with bruises he'd inflicted himself, and called the cops. I spent the night in cuffs, labeled the unstable one, while he whisked the twins to his penthouse overlooking Central Park. reborn. I wouldn't wait for the trap. I padded to the kitchen, the linoleum cool underfoot, and fired up my laptop. The firm's VPN was still active, sloppy on Ethan's part. Or maybe arrogance. Fingers flying. I dove into the servers, muscle memory from late nights guiding me past firewalls. There it was, transaction logs, time-stamped to his login. $2.3 million siphoned over 2 years, masked as consulting fees to a shell company in the Caymans. Brooke's name flickered in the metadata, her email tied to wire transfers. Print. I commanded the machine. The whir of the old printer a war drum in the dawn quiet. By 7 a.m., the documents were tucked into my briefcase, alongside affidavits I'd forge later. No. Better, anonymous tips to the SEC. Time to drop post-hearing. Controversial? Hell yes. Exposing him meant dragging the firm through mud, costing jobs, maybe even tanking my own career. But Jasper's night terrors, Milo's stutter from the custody limbo, they echoed in my skull louder than ethics. I'd chosen family over ambition once. This time, I'd weaponize both. The twins stirred as I plated pancakes, their sleepy faces peeking over the counter like groundhogs scenting freedom. "Mommy, why you look funny?" Jasper asked, his cowlick defying the spatula I wielded like Excalibur. "Just excited for today, buddy." Big adventure at the courthouse. I ruffled his hair, swallowing the bile of memory, Milo's wail as Ethan pried him from my arms last time, the judge's gavel like a guillotine. Ethan arrived at 8:30 sharp, his Audi purring curbside like a predator. He stepped out in that tailored navy suit, the one that screamed old money, a bouquet of lilies in hand, his signature apology prop. "Jem, about today. Let's keep it civil. For the boys." I met his gaze through the screen door, the barrier between us feeling paper-thin. Up close, he was still devastating, jawline sharp as a plea bargain, eyes the blue of trust fund oceans. But I saw the cracks now, the micro-twitch when he lied, the way his fingers drummed when plotting. "Civil," I echoed, voice steady as steel. "Like when you hid the accounts, or when you told the mediator I was erratic after you spiked my drink." His smile faltered, a glitch in the matrix. "What are you?" "Save it for the judge." "Ethan." "The boys are ready." I handed over the diaper bag, loaded with decoys, their favorite toys, but also a USB drive nestled in the lining, encrypted with the embezzlement files. Let him sweat when airport security flags it later. Controversial move number 1. Using our kids as unwitting mules. But in war, pawns become queens. The drive to Manhattan was a gauntlet of yellow cabs and honking semis, the Brooklyn Bridge spanning the East River like a vein pulsing with regret. Ethan prattled about co-parenting apps and therapy sessions, but I tuned him out, mentally rehearsing my opening, not the weepy mom, but the viper uncoiling. Last life. I'd crumbled under cross-examination, admitting to 70-hour weeks like a sin. This time, I'd own it. "Yes, Your Honor. I work too much because someone has to pay for the penthouse lifestyle my ex demands in child support." The courthouse loomed on Center Street, a granite behemoth etched with the ghosts of verdicts past. Security wound us through, the twins clinging to my legs like barnacles on a sinking ship. Ethan scooped them up, cooing, "Daddy's got you," and, for a split second, doubt clawed in. Was this revenge or ruin? Then I remembered the motel, his whisper. "You should have stayed quiet, Jem," as the light faded. Courtroom 12B smelled of polished wood and stale coffee. The gallery half full with clerks and the curious. Judge Harlan Voss presided from on high, his robes a shroud over a frame that screamed ex-Marine. 65. Widowed. With a rep for skewering deadbeat dads, but he'd crucified me last time, swayed by Ethan's silver tongue and my exhaustion-fueled tears. All rise, the bailiff intoned, and we shuffled to our seats. Ethan to the left, me to the right. The twins in a side room with a social worker, their absence a vacuum sucking the air thin. My lawyer, a pitbull named Rita Vasquez, squeezed my hand. We've got precedents on working parents. Stay sharp. The gavel cracked, and Voss scanned the room, his gaze landing on me like a spotlight. MS. Hayes versus Mr. Caldwell. Custody modification. Counsel. Proceed. Ethan's attorney, a weasel in pinstripes named Hargrove, launched first, montages of my neglect, me at depositions while Ethan baked cookies, catered. I knew. My client provides stability. Petitioner chases billable hours at the expense of her children. Rita countered with schedules. Nannies vetted like CIA assets. But I felt the tide turning. Same as before, Voss's frown deepening at mentions of my caseload. Then it was my turn on the stand. Heart thundering, I straightened, channeling the ghost of the woman I'd become, unbreakable. Your Honor, I work because I must. Ethan's stability comes from Caldwell and Associates, where he, objection, Hargrove barked. Irrelevant, overruled, Voss snapped, leaning forward. His eyes narrowed, not in anger, but recognition?
Impossible.
Unless. Continue. MS. Hayes. I plunged in, voice slicing the tension. Ethan embezzled from the firm.
Millions.
I have proof. Gasps rippled. Ethan's face drained to ash. I detailed the logs, the shells, Brooks' complicity, facts I died protecting last time. Hargrove sputtered, but Voss held up a hand. MS. Hayes. Gemma Marie Hayes. His tone shifted, gravelly with something unspoken. Yes, Your Honor. He studied me, the room blurring around us. 20 years ago, I sentenced a man named Victor Lang for vehicular manslaughter. Drunk driver. Killed a young couple on the FDR. Their daughter survived, barely. She testified, all fire and grief. Name was Gemma Hayes. The gallery murmured. Ethan's jaw unhinged. I froze. This wasn't in my memories.
Victor Lang?
A hazy face surfaced. My parents' funeral. The judge's compassionate nod as I clutched their photo. You look just like her, Voss said softly. Same eyes.
And now?
This. He glanced at Ethan, disgust curling his lip. Counsel. Approach. Sidebar whispers. Then Voss banged the gavel. Hearing adjourned. Mr. Caldwell, you're remanded pending investigation into these allegations. Bailiff. Chaos erupted, Ethan lunging, cuffs snapping, the twins' cries echoing from the hall. Rita hugged me, reporters swarmed. But as Voss descended the bench, he murmured, That girl grew up fighting. Don't stop now. I nodded, tears hot. Rebirth's first gift, not just time, but echoes of justice long buried. The fallout hit like a nor'easter, whipping through my life with winds that uprooted everything I'd clung to. By evening, the twins were back in my arms, their confusion a balm and a blade as we hunkered in the walk-up, pizza boxes fortifying the coffee table like battlements. News alerts buzzed. Caldwell heir accused of embezzlement in shocking custody twist. Ethan's mugshot trended. That perfect hair disheveled, eyes wide with the betrayal of exposure. I scrolled feeds on my phone, the glow casting shadows on Jasper's sleeping form curled against me. Milo snuffled in his dreams, muttering, "Daddy bad?" My chest ached. Had I scarred them already? Controversial decision, too, letting the media circus rage. I'd leaked the story anonymously to a Times contact, knowing it'd pressure the DA. Ethan's family, old Knickerbocker stock, would bury it quietly if given half a chance. No more velvet gloves. Sleep evaded me, the reborn mind a whirlwind of timelines colliding. Last life. After losing custody, I'd spiraled, pills washed down with Merlot, anonymous hookups to numb the void. Ethan had the twins thriving in his orbit, private schools and pony rides, while I clawed for visitation like a junkie. The sabotage on my car? Retaliation for hiring a PI who'd sniffed too close to his Cayman trail. I'd confronted him in that motel, piecing it together mid-rage. And he'd snapped, strangling the threat, leaving the boys to witness Mommy's meltdown. This time, I'd front-run the script. But Voss's revelation gnawed. My parents' killer, the drunk who'd plowed into their sedan during a family drive to the Hamptons. I'd been 8, strapped in the back, emerging with scratches and a lifetime of what-ifs. Lang got 5 years. Voss had pushed for 10. Was it coincidence? Or had the universe laced my second chance with cosmic irony? The judge seeing echoes of that fierce kid in the woman dismantling a fraud? Dawn broke gray and drizzly, the city exhaling steam from manholes like weary dragons. Rita called at 7:02. Gem. SEC's involved. Full audit on the firm. Ethan's lawyers dropping him like a hot turd. Laughter bubbled. Manic. But heads up, Brooks lawyered up, claiming coercion. And the twins' guardian ad litem wants a psych eval on you. Standard. But after yesterday, my grip tightened on the mug. Psych eval, the gateway drug to doubt. Last time, it painted me unhinged. Ethan's planted evidence of volatility sealing my fate. Schedule it. I'll ace it.
Lie.
Rebirth hadn't erased the fractures. Nights I'd wake screaming, convinced Ethan lurked in the closet. Work loomed, a double-edged sword. Caldwell and Associates suspended me pending investigation. Ironic, since exposing the rot saved my ass from complicity charges. I pivoted to freelance, cold-calling boutique firms in Midtown. By noon, I had a gig, contract review, for a startup battling Big Pharma. Pay sucked, but flexibility? Gold. I set up at the kitchen table, laptop humming, twins finger painting nearby. Mommy's a superhero, Jasper declared, smearing blue across the fridge. Damn right. Ethan's first call from Rikers came at 3 p.m., voice tinny through the glass. I visited alone, the fluorescent-lit visitation room a confessional for sinners. He looked smaller, jumpsuit swallowing his frame, but the schemer's glint persisted.
Gem.
This is insane. You framed me, those files. You hacked them. I leaned into the receiver, close enough to fog the plexiglass. Framed? Like you framed me for assault? Or like the brake fluid you drained because I wouldn't sign over the twins quietly? His eyes darted, confirming. You don't know. I know everything. Ethan. The affair. The money. The way you whispered to Brooke about taking care of Gemma permanently. Motel room vibes. Right? I let it hang. Watching panic bloom. Plea bargain in his gaze. The boys. They need their father. We can fix this. Drop the charges. I'll wire you enough to disappear. Temptation flickered, easy out. Fresh start in some sun-bleached nowhere. But the twins' laughter from memory, twisted by his lies, snuffed it. Disappear? That's your plan B?
No.
You rot. I hung up. The click a guillotine drop. Controversial? Offering mercy to a monster. But revenge wasn't blind rage. It was surgical, carving out the rot without poisoning the host. Back home, the psych eval loomed like a guillotine.
DR.
Elena Torres arrived at 6. A no-nonsense Latina in sensible flats. Her clipboard a shield. The twins played in their room as she probed. Childhood trauma, check. Parents' death.
Divorce stress, double check.
Unusual certainty about events. MS.
Hayes.
You speak of your ex's crimes with prescience. As if you've lived it before. Chills prickled. Rebirth bleeding through? I deflected with facts. The embezzlement printouts as props. She nodded, jotting. Resilient. Protective instincts strong. Verdict, fit parent. Relief flooded. But her parting words lingered. Grief can loop time in our minds. Be kind to the woman you were. Night fell heavy. Rain lashing windows like accusations. I tucked the boys in, reading Goodnight Moon with voices that cracked on goodnight noises everywhere. Jasper's hand in mine. Mommy, will Daddy come home? Soon enough.
Kiddo.
But remember, home's where we are. Lies to cradle dreams. As sleep claimed them, I slipped to my office, a corner desk piled with case law. Time for phase 2, unearthing the deeper betrayal. Ethan's embezzlement was the appetizer. The main course was his tie to my parents' crash. It started with a hunch. Reborn intuition. Last life. I dismissed the PI's ramblings about Lang's connections, a lowlife with mob whispers. Paid off for hits. But digging now, cross-referencing old PD files via a hacker buddy from law school, ethical gray zone.
Swimmy.
Patterns emerged. Lang's blood alcohol? Suspiciously low for the skid marks. Brake residue on the guardrail matching a Caldwell fleet vehicle. And a payment, $50,000 from an account Ethan controlled, backdated to 2007, when he was a cocky intern schmoozing the firm. My father, a whistleblower on environmental fraud, had crossed paths with Caldwell Sr. Threats. Then the accident. Ethan, groomed as the golden boy, tied it off, murder for legacy, silencing the man who'd exposed the firm's toxic dumps. I'd married the killer's apprentice, blind to the blood on the boardroom table. Fury boiled, but I channeled it, anonymous packet to Voss. Care of the clerk. Include the twins? No. Controversial line 3. Exposing this orphan me anew, but freed the ghosts. By midnight, it was sent. FedEx ghosting through the storm. Days blurred into a siege. Media hounds bayed at my door. Ethan's family dispatched lawyers like drones, offering settlements laced with NDAs. I countered with Rita's firepower, countersuit for fraud, alienation of affection, Brooke named. The twins adapted, their world shrinking to park playdates and mommy's detective games, where I'd quiz them on Ethan's silly secrets to build their testimony if needed. Voss reconvened court on a sweltering August Monday. the AC wheezing like an asthmatic. Ethan, bailed but leashed with an ankle monitor, slouched in the dock. Brooke absent, fled to Miami, tail between legs. The judge's face was thunder as he unsealed my packet. Mr.
Caldwell.
Explain this. Ethan blanched.
Fabrication.
Save it. DA's charging conspiracy to commit murder. The gallery erupted. I gripped the rail, knees buckling. Voss's eyes met mine. Gratitude. Or absolution. Adjourned again. But victory's aftertaste was ash. That night, Jasper wet the bed, sobbing, "Daddy's a monster." I held him, whispering truths too big for small ears. Rebirth promised revenge, but at what cost to the innocent? September crept in with a vengeance, leaves turning blood orange as if autumn itself mourned the unraveling. The twins started kindergarten, their backpacks comically oversized, little men in a world tilting off-axis. I dropped them at the wrought iron gates of PS 32, waving until their teacher herded them inside, then pivoted to the subway grind, freelance gigs stacking like Jenga, teetering but untoppled. Ethan's trial prep dominated headlines. Blue blood bust, embezzlement to manslaughter. Pundits dissected my role, the jilted wife turned avenger, labeling me hero or hysteric, depending on the spin. Social media amplified the noise. Justice for Gemma trended alongside trolls calling me a gold digger weaponizing kids. I muted it all, focusing on the fortress, new locks, self-defense classes where I punched bags until knuckles bled, visualizing his smug face. Controversial decision 4 hit mid-month, testifying for the prosecution. Rita advised against. Let the docs speak. You're the powder keg. But silence was surrender. The coward's out. I'd relive the betrayal on the stand, drag the twins' shadows into the light. For closure? Or spectacle? Either way, I suited up in charcoal Armani, the fabric a second skin of resolve. The DA, a bulldog named Marcus Hale, prepped me in a fluorescent war room, timelines, exhibits. Ethan psych profile, narcissist with sociopathic traits.
Check.
He'll play victim, Hale warned. Charm the jury. Cry about the boys. Let him. My voice didn't waver. Reborn Gemma didn't break. She bent the room. Trial opened in Foley Square, the federal courthouse a coliseum of justice porn. Voss presided again, recusal denied. His connection a compelling narrative thread, per the chief. Juries filed in, diverse cross-section. Moms nodding at me, dads shifting uncomfortably. Ethan entered shackled, but released for show, his tie askew like a noose half-tied. Opening statements. Hale eviscerated, projecting ledgers and crash recreations. Defense painted Ethan as framed by a vengeful ex, me the architect of ruin. Whispers rippled. Had I coached the twins? Planted evidence? Doubt seated. My testimony came day 3. The stand a crucible under Klieg lights. State your name. Gemma Hayes. Hale led gentle. Marriage. A fair discovery. The ledger. Then the gut punch. Describe the night of October 12th, 2023, the motel. I recounted it clinically, his hands, the boy's screams, the blackout. Gasps, a juror dabbed tears. Cross-exam, Hargrove, demoted but venomous. MS. Hayes, isn't it true you suffered a breakdown post-divorce? Fantasies of persecution. Objection. Speculative. Sustained. Voss's glare could curdle milk. But Hargrove pressed. You claim foreknowledge of crimes.
How?
Clairvoyance. Laughter tittered. I locked eyes with Ethan across the room. Pale.
Sweating.
Not clairvoyance. Survival. I lived it once. Lost everything. This time, I fight. Jury murmurs. Boss banged. Approach. Sidebar. Speculation. Counselor, he growled. Hargrove retreated. But damage lingered. Unhinged witch. Not warrior. Recess brought collapse. Rita in the hall. You owned it. But inside. Fractures spiderwebbed. The twins' drawings in my purse, stick figures of happy family, mocked the charade. Ethan took the stand next day. Oscar-worthy, choked sobs. Gemma changed after the divorce, obsessive. He spun the embezzlement as loans, the crash payment a coincidence for laying silence on unrelated dirt. Jury leaned in. Women softening. Then the twist, Brooke. Subpoenaed. Cracked under oath. He said, if she talked, it'd be like her parents. An accident. The courtroom detonated, objections flying. Voss red-faced. Ethan lunged at her. Bailiffs swarmed. I exhaled. The noose loosening. But revenge's high was fleeting. That night, Milo spiked a fever. Nightmares blending daddy's jail monster with mommy's tears. Pediatrician. Stress somatized. Guilt gnawed. Had my war infected them? Mid-trial. Voss summoned me to chambers. The oak door sealing us in leather-scented sanctity. Gemma. This Lang business. It mirrors your folks' case. Ethan's dad pulled strings back then, I suspected, but proof evaporated. Revelation crashed. Caldwell Sr. Hadn't just threatened, he'd orchestrated. Ethan. The heir. Finished the job years later. Why tell me now? Because that 8-year-old's fire? It's in you still. Finish it. His hand on my shoulder. Paternal. Unjudicial. Controversial? Judges don't mentor. Lines blurred.
Ethics bent.
But in that moment, I wasn't alone. Closing arguments thundered. Hale's justice delayed. Defenses witch hunt. Jury deliberated 2 days. Eternity in purgatory. I paced the apartment, baking cookies from a recipe my mom scrawled in a margin-stained notebook. The scent conjuring ghosts. Jasper built Lego forts against bad guys. Milo colored rainbows over storm clouds. Verdict at 4:17 p.m. Guilty on all counts: embezzlement, fraud, conspiracy to murder. Ethan howled as they led him away. Gemma.
You bitch.
The boys. Will thrive, I whispered, collapsing into Rita's embrace. Cheers. Flashes. But hollow. Victory tasted of salt. Tears for the life stolen twice. Post-trial haze. Asset freezes. Restitution checks padding my account. The firm dissolved. I launched Hayes Legal. Boutique for whistleblowers. Pro bono for betrayed moms. Twins thrived. Therapy sessions where they drew before and after. Crayons exorcising demons. But shadows lingered. One crisp October eve, as we carved pumpkins on the stoop, a letter arrived. Voss. Handwritten. Lang's appeal denied. Your evidence sealed it. That girl from '07? She'd be proud. Enclosed, a faded photo from the trial, me, wide-eyed, clutching Dad's watch. I framed it beside the twins' ultrasound pics. A triptych of rebirths. Yet doubt whispered. Was this happy? Ethan appealed. Delays dragging like chains. And the controversial core, had exposing the Caldwell rot cost innocence? Firm layoffs. Suicides whispered in obits. My hands weren't clean. Climax brewed in December. Snow dusting the city like forgotten confetti. Ethan demanded a final visitation, supervised. His right before sentencing. Prison loomed life. Minimum.
Ritovitud, io veirode.
Closure. Or cruelty. The park meet. Neutral ground. Frost-kissed benches. Twins bundled in puffer coats. Eyes wary as Ethan approached, gaunt in street clothes. Boys. He knelt. Voice cracking. Jasper hid behind me. Milo offered a wary high five. I watched. Heart of ice. Say goodbye. Ethan. He rose. Eyes on me. Hatred laced with hunger. You think you won? I made you.
Gem.
The fighter. The bitch. All me. Words like venom. But I parried. No. My parents made me. You just sharpened the blade. As guards escorted him, he hissed. Watch your breaks. Threat. Or bluff. Chills despite the wool. Back home, I called the PI, tires checked, all clear. But sleep fled. Rebirth's curse. Vigilance eternal. Winter gripped New York like a grudge. January's gales howling through fire escapes as if mourning the man Ethan Caldwell had never been. Sentencing day dawned brittle clear. The sky a pane of ice over Foley Square. I dressed the twins in their Sunday best, tiny wool coats. Jasper's tie askew despite my fussing, because endings deserved witnesses. Even small ones. Controversial to the bone, exposing them to the cage, slamming shut. But secrets fester. Better truths scar than lies gangrene. The courtrooms swelled. Victims' families and firm ghosts filling pews. Voss entered. Gavel punctuation mark on chaos. Ethan shuffled in. Orange jumpsuit a paean to fallen kings. His gaze skipping the boys to bore into me. Promise of vendettas unborn. Mr. Caldwell. Voss intoned. You've pled to atrocities spanning decades, theft that beggared trusts. A conspiracy that orphaned a child, twice over.
Pause.
Eyes flicking to me. No leniency for silver spoons. Prosecutors recited. 25 to life. Restitution ballooning to 8 figures. Ethan's lawyer pleaded mitigating, remorse, addiction, but Voss cut through. Remorse is for men who atone. Not architects of ruin. The gavel fell. Life. No parole. Ethan surged. You can't, Gemma. The boys need. Bailiffs wrestled him down. His wail echoing as doors clanged. Jasper buried his face in my lap. Milo stared. Unblinking. Absorbing the fracture. Outside. Snow swirled, confetti-like. Reporters thrusting mics like spears. MS. Haze. Thoughts on justice. I shielded the twins. Voice steady. It's a start. For every Gemma out there. Fighting shadows. Rita herded us to the sedan. The drive home a blur of taillights and thawing resolve. Rebirth's arc bent toward normalcy. But normal was a myth for the reborn. February brought therapy breakthroughs. Jasper naming fears. Milo shedding his stutter in art class murals of strong mommies. I dated tentatively, a barista named Theo. All easy laughs and no skeletons, but intimacy recoiled. Ethan's ghost in every touch. The twist uncoiled in March. Spring's thaw unearthing bones I'd buried shallow. A letter from Rikers. Ethan's scrawl jagged. You think it's over? Ask Voss about his daughter. Enigma. Or desperation. I forwarded to Hale. But curiosity clawed. Voss's widowed status. The chamber's warmth. Digging via public records. A daughter. Eliza. Vanished in '09. Overdose ruled. But whispers of scandal, affair with a Caldwell partner, hushed payout. Connection crystallized. Eliza. In turn like Ethan once. Tangled in the firm's web. Bosses push on Lang? Not just duty, but deflection, covering the family's complicity in my parents' hit, shielding Eliza's secrets. My whistleblower dad had evidence on her too, insider trading tied to dumps. Storm brewed. Confront boss? Expose and alienate the ally who'd bent roles for me? Controversial apex. Mercy or purge? I chose truth. Anonymous dossier to the Bar Association. Voss's recusal dodge. Eliza's ghost influencing verdicts. Not vengeance, but equilibrium. No untouchables. His call came at dusk. Voice gravel over landline. Gemma. Coffee tomorrow. The diner on Bleecker was a time capsule. Checkered floors. Pie under glass. Voss slid in opposite. Older in civilian flannel. Eyes shadowed. You sent the packet. I nodded. Stirring black coffee. For Eliza. And my parents. No more ghosts pulling strings. He exhaled. Steam curling. She was wild. Like you fought the firm.
Lost.
Overdose. Or pushed.
Caldwell Sr.
Paid me off to bury it. Confession spilled. Complicity in the hush. Lang's light sentence a trade for silence on Eliza's ledgers. I saw that fire in you.
Gemma.
Redeemed myself. Maybe.
Absolutan hum.
Bitter. Justice isn't personal, I said. But it heals. He left a check, restitution sliver for the twins' college.
Reise infierse.
Handshake equals not judge and witness. April bloomed vindication. Voss retired for health. Bar cleared him with a slap. Ethics violation. Probation. The Caldwells scattered. Empire ash. I expanded Hayes Legal. Taking pro bono custody cases. Mentoring the fractured. Twins turned 6 in a backyard bash. Balloons.
Cake.
Theo grilling burgers with a wink that promised maybe. But the final hook twisted in June. Summer's haze veiling a call from an unknown. Brooke. Voice quavering from witness protection.
Ethan.
He had a partner. Inside the family. Your brother-in-law. Trent. The real architect.
Trent Caldwell.
Ethan's cousin. The quiet accountant who'd sympathized during the divorce. Flashed his visits. Probing questions. The USB I'd planted vanishing. Betrayals Hydra, another head. I hung up. Pulse roaring.
Confront?
Or let feds unravel. Controversial endgame. Peace or perpetuity. The twins' laughter from the park called. Jasper's whoop on the swings. Milo's triumphant sandbox castle. I chose happy. Tipped hail anonymously. Then deleted the number. Let the machine grind. I'd built enough altars to revenge. Years folded. Twins in college. Me graying at 48. Hayes legal a beacon for the betrayed. Voss passed quietly. Obit noting, champion of the voiceless. Trent's trial? Guilty. 20 years, justice's echo. Rebirth wasn't erasure, it was rewrite. I died own once. Betrayed by love's mask. Lived again. Trading mercy for scars. Controversy for clarity. The boys. Men now. Toast me at holidays. To mom the fighter. And in quiet nights. Hudson's lights winking beyond the window. I whisper to ghosts, we won. Not clean. Not kind, but ours.